Hi, this is Angelica, and this is my course project for Data, Communications, and Networking 3. So, so the instructions for this course project is to create a video presentation discussing topics from this course and apply the basic knowledge and learnings obtained. Demonstrate the knowledge attained throughout the course by demonstrating the theories, configurations of different networking devices, and applications of the topics. So after this one, you need to upload your video in YouTube or Vimeo. So the topics I chose are scaling VLANs, STP, spanning tree protocol, and Ether channel, and HSRP. So let's start with scaling VLANs. So VT overview. So VLAN trunking protocol or VTP. This allows network administrator to manage VLANs on a switch configured as a VTP server. So it distributes and synchronizes VLAN information over trunk links to VTP-enabled switches throughout the switch network. So remember that BTP advertisements will not be exchanged if the trunk between the switches is inactive or if the trunk is misconfigured. So VT modes, we have three: VTP server, VTP client, and transparent. So servers advertise the VTP domain, VLAN information to other VTP-enabled switches in the same VTP domain. So when you say clients, it functions the same way as the BT servers, but you cannot create, change, or delete VLANs on a BTP client. VTP transparent switches do not participate in VTP except to forward advertisements to VTP clients and servers. So here's some questions. What are the differences? Does it respond to VTP advertisements? Is the global VLAN configuration preserve or restart on restart, or does it update other VTP enabled switches? So for VTP advertisements, there are three types. So summary advertisements. This contains VTP domain name and configurations and configuration division number. When you say advertisement request, this responds to a summary advertisement message when the summary advertisement contains a higher configuration division number than the current value. And lastly, subset advertisements contains VLAN information including any changes. So we have two VTP versions, version 1 and version 2. So VT1 is the default VTP mode on all switches, and version 2 is supports normal range VLANs only. Remember, switches in the same VTP domain must use the same VTP versions. So here's the code or command that you need to, to check if you want to check the VTP status. So you need to put show VTP status command. This displays the VTP versions capable of running. This one. The second one is the domain name, pruning mode, traps and generations, device ID, and so forth. So VTP covets, this configuration revision number is stored in NVRAM. To reset VTP configuration revision number to 0, you need to do these two things. You need to change the switch VTP domain to a non-existent domain, and then change the domain back to the original name. Next is change the switch VTP mode to transparent and then back to previous VTP mode. So here's the step in configuration overview or configure VTP. First one is configure the VTP server. Next one is configure the VTP server domain name and password. Then the VTP clients, then VLANs on the VTP server, and lastly, you need to verify the VTP clients have received the new VLAN information. So in configure the VT server, you can use the command VT mode server. This commands to configure the switch as a VTP server. It confirms all switches are configured with default configuration before issuing this command to avoid problems with configuration revision number. You can also use BTP status to verify. When you check this one, you notice that the VLAN configuration revision number is still set to 0 and number of existing VLANs is 5. So step 2, configure the VTP domain name and password. So you need to use the VTP domain or domain name command to configure the domain name. And the VTP client must have some domain name as the VTP server before it will accept the VTP advertisements. So to configure the password, you can use the command VTP password command, and you can also use the VTP show VTP password command to verify it as well. So step 3, configure the VTP clients. You can use the VTP mode client command to configure the VTP clients as the same. You can use also the same domain name and password as the VTP server. You can see on the picture. Step 4, configure VLANs on the VTP server. You can use VLAN number command to create VLANs or show VLAN brief to verify the VLANs. Show VTP status to verify server status. Every time a VLAN is added, the configuration register is increased. Always remember that. And lastly, step 5, verify the BTP clients have received the new VLAN information. You can use the show VLAN brief command to verify that the client received the new VLAN information. And you can use to verify the client status by using the command show VTP status command. So VLAN ranges on Catalyst switches. So Catalyst 29060 and 3560 series switches supports over 4,000 VLANs. Normal range VLANs are numbered to 1 to 1005. It is stored in VLAN.file, and extended range VLANs are numbered from 106 to 4094. So no stored data in VLAN data file. VTP does not learn. So in creating a VLAN, the normal range VLANs are stored in flash in VLAN.dat. So you can use the VLAN ID to create a VLAN, use VLAN name to name the VLAN, and naming each VLAN is considered a best practice in switch configuration. Also, to configure multiple VLANs, a series of VLAN IDs can be entered separated by commas or range of VLANs ID separated by hyphens like VLAN 100, 102, 105, or 107. So in assigning ports to VLANs, access port can belong to only one VLAN at a time. Only exception is when the IP phone is connected to the port, then there are two VLANs associated with the port. One for voice and one for data. Verifying VLAN information. These are the commands that you use in verifying VLANs. Show VLAN, show interface, show VLAN name, show VLAN brief, show VLAN summary, show interface VLAN, and VLAN ID. So in configuring extended VLANs ranges are identified by a VLAN ID between 106 to 4094. To configure an extended VLAN on 290 switch, it must be set to VTP transparent mode. By default. 2960 switches do not support extended VLANs.